We have Bitcoin sitting just at that key $63,000 mark, caught at a pretty interesting spot because it's still below the 200-day moving average. So in today's show, we'll discuss what's the possibility of breaking out above that level. And the question is, what are going to be the top performing narratives as well as the top performing coins within those narratives? Should we get that actual breakout? Smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel. And let's get straight into the show content. Starting off over here with the banter bubbles. I think the thumbnail gives it all away, but one of the top performing narratives recently has been AI, and it looks looks set to at least continue that trajectory. We have 𝗕𝗵𝗪 as well, a whole lot over here. NEO's still pulling back slightly, but if you can toggle through over here and you look at the AI sector, this is what the picture looks like, right? So some of the coins putting in some sizable moves, especially when you go into the daily time frame. You have double-digit gains, right? 52%, 23%, 19%, 55%. 45%. So it is a sector that we probably have to look at, since a lot of the mind share is shifting into that area. And we saw the same thing in March. The question is, will prices continue to follow through like they did in March, right? March, the top performers were memes as well as the AI sector. And on the next pullback will be the opportune moment to assess whether this is going to continue to be the case. So I thought in today's show, we'll have a look at some of those AI coins, at least some of the top picks that I have, and then the levels at which you could look to enter into those should some of them have run too hard. So let's get into the show content. We know that, October is historically one of the best performing months on average, putting in about 23% gains for Bitcoin. You can imagine if that does play out like prior cycles, well, the expectation then would be that the AI sector as well as meme coins should be the top performers, putting in even higher gains than what we've seen over there in October. And then we have November coming in even stronger with 46.81% gains on Bitcoin. So a whole lot to look forward to over there. And there's your Q4 results as well. Historically, very, very strong. We spoke about the seasonality a whole lot. We're looking at that in depth over July, August, and September, looking for a seasonal bottom and then establishing those long-term positions, which is exactly what we've done right now. We're also seeing over here, if you look at the daily exchange volume on the 7-day time frame, the inflows coming into exchanges are present, right? This is rising onwards and towards the upside over there, which is a good sign for continuation. And as long as that continues to persist over there, there will be an opportunity for prices to hold up and remain strong. We have the crypto fear and greed index now at 54. And then the thing I'm focusing most of my attention on over here is the DXY, which is we've been gathering the evidence and looking at the breakdown of this over time for quite a while. And you can see over here, it's starting to print at least lower highs and equal lows. Now, if it continues to persist with this pattern over here, we can measure out timing-wise how this would play out. Should it create this descending triangle chopping about over here? You can see leading into October, November is where you would start to expect to reach 70% of the way through the descending triangle. Descending triangles tend to break about 70% of the way through. And should you get that breakdown, well, that should lead to lower prices or at least a drop in the DXY, which is an increase in the other assets, right? Higher prices in the other assets. So we're waiting for that over there, and we're still waiting for the catch-up trade between Bitcoin as well as the other assets. Now you can see that gold over here has been one of the leaders, and then you have the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones over there. And then last but not least, we have, of course, the S&P 500 all the way at the bottom over here. And Bitcoin is lagging somewhere down below these levels. So we're waiting for Bitcoin also to play catch up. And at least what we've seen in the price cycles is that when the market is still uncertain, Bitcoin tends to lag. When the market becomes incredibly risk on and certain about the direction of the next moves, then Bitcoin mean reverts back towards the rest of the assets and actually outperforms, right? So you would expect a mean reversion and then an outperformance, a divergence away from the rest of these assets towards the upside. So all in alignment with everything that we're looking at in terms of those seasonal changes that we will see in Bitcoin as well as the rest of the crypto market. So there it is. That's a gold trade we gave it. I updated everyone in Whale Room this morning what you should do next on this gold trade. We spoke about a little bit of profit taking, and you can see over here prices are coming down a little bit. So these are big gains. Just to put it into perspective, I know that it doesn't look like a lot to crypto people putting in 6.81%, but this is a multi-trillion-dollar asset class. This is similar to a meme coin doing 600% gains, and you pretty much bought the breakout to perfection. So very, very happy with that trade over there. Here you have the S&P 500 closing at all-time highs, NASDAQ slightly lagging, Dow Jones all-time highs, and Coinbase still lagging. Just an update off of yesterday. We're still looking at the stochastic RSI pushing towards the upside, looking at double-digit gains over here on Bitcoin, which is what we saw in the prior times that the stochastic RSI fully reset, and we're still waiting to break that resistance. Now, the messaging that I gave, at least to the whale room community earlier this week, was that hold on to your horses, right? Essentially, because there'll be a lot of chop and volatility. I wouldn't be surprised to see price come all the way back down to back test the 21 exponential moving average, which is coming in just under $61,000, and then only to close the week strong with a full green candle, right? It might take a couple more weeks to break these lucid SARs, but in the next couple of weeks, again, aligning up with that seasonal perspective, we're looking at some point in October to potentially November that Bitcoin should be breaking out above these levels, taking out those range highs. We're yet to still put in a higher high. This is theoretically lower high territory, so something to be observant of, especially if you're a conservative trader. This is the level to break, right? Get above $65,050. You create your first higher high, and then the whole structure begins to shift. So price is capped in a pretty tense spot right between the 3, the 9, and the 30 MA over there. And you can actually see it over here. If you look at the average true range, we're now back testing into the bottom trend line over here, which is where we've seen some of the previous big moves, right? You can see over here, test at the bottom, led to a big move up, test at the bottom, led to a big move up, test at the bottom, big move, test at the bottom, big move over there, test at the bottom. This one led to a down move. Remember, volatility and ranges are direction neutral. As the volatility squeezes, as the ranges become tighter and tighter, all this suggests is you're getting a big move that's going to be coming up. So that's what we're looking at over there. Volume has been coming down. Remember the Wyckoff reaccumulation schematic we've been viewing as well. This would be the SOS phase, and ultimately, this would be the spring phase, and now we're moving into the SOS phase, which is the sign of strength. So you ask yourself, where does the psychology change? Where does the optimism come back into the market? And similar to the average true range, it would be over here. You can see we're in a tight spot, similar to the average true range, caught between these different moving averages, getting back above the 200-day moving average, which I would anticipate would be sometime towards the end of this week or next week. This will bring the optimism back into the market, break and hold above this level, and that is where the psychology shifts. And then as per the Wyckoff accumulation schematic, you enter into the SOS phase, right? The sign of strength, and that's where the markup phase will occur soon after that. So that's still the plan. That's still what we're looking at right now. Price is holding above the pivot level, which is the yellow line I've marked off at 62,526. That means that the RSI is trending towards the upside and bulls maintain control. Now, if we do put in a local top over here and we do start to pull back, some of the levels that I'm looking at on the daily time frame is going to be around that 60K level. That's your shallow fib, the 0.382. That's where you expect support to be found, and then to continue to be brought up. Traders that have been waiting to buy the dip will be looking to get long in that sector. Same thing if you're tracking it using the shallow fib on the 4-hour time frame, taken from the last major low to the recent high over here. Well, that's coming in at $62,000. So of course, daily and 4-hour time frame will have different levels when you're focusing on those fibs. But essentially, if you are going to track along this 50 EMA, it's lining up as well just below that 62K level. So expect if price does wick into that zone, there might be a bit of support that's found over there. Now, the reason we have to look for the possibility of a pullback is still because if you look at the deltas, there's still a lot of longs that are jumping into the market at current levels. Bulls currently are in control. We have to be clear on that. But every now and then you'll get a little bit of a flash towards the downside in the form of profit taking or maybe a little bit of a long squeeze, right? If that does occur, those are the zones that you're watching for. Between that $60,000 and $62,000 zone is where you should find some support. Now, if you're having a look over here at Solana, well, the market's less optimistic on Solana. There's actually shorts that are building up over here. The deltas are flipping negative. We're seeing the same thing on WIF, right? Pretty negative funding over there, and the same thing on PEPE. Also negative funding over there on PEPE. We've spoken about the reset within the market. And again, liquidity now is building towards the downside. Longs, late longs at least, jumping into the market. So that flushed down into the unanimous zone of 62,300. So again, between that 60 and $63,000 zone is your major support. Keep an eye out on that area. Now, that's your Bitcoin analysis. Let's get a little bit into the altcoins. One of the coins that we've been looking to potentially find an entry on is TON, right? So I'll quickly go to TON. This is your TON chart. We spoke about hitting the key support, bouncing off there. You would have major resistance coming in at about $6.18. Now, currently, TON's in an interesting spot because new information is coming out around at least the narrative around TON with regards to the IP addresses, etc., giving up people's information. This can be viewed as something really bearish. If it does throw back, I would watch for a double bottom coming into 450. If it loses that level because of an incredibly bearish scenario, fundamentally at least, watch for price to come back down to $3. Now, the reason that we should focus on that is because if you look at this just came out. Telegram will now provide users' IP addresses, phone numbers, and other details to relevant authorities in response to legal requests. So if Telegram get called upon by the US and basically they say, well, we want this information, they've pretty much said outright they're going to be giving up that information. So now more than ever, guys, it's very, very important that you protect your IP address, right? Rand says over here, bullish for TON, founder probably not going to jail anymore. That's the bullish part, but really bearish for TON because Telegram's no longer a freedom of speech champion or platform anymore. They're going to give up your information. So the question is, will the user base still remain? Part of the reason for being bullish on TON as a coin is simply because they can on-ramp so many users. They have hundreds of millions of users at their disposal, and many of those users are crypto native people that love and understand crypto, and they use Telegram for the freedom narrative. Now the question is, are they going to move elsewhere? At the end of the day, you need to be safe. You have to protect your IP. How does a VPN work? A VPN can mask and hide your IP address. Remember, the way that it works is you have your device, you have an identifier IP and data that's not encrypted. This is if you stream, if you use the internet in general with no VPN. When you turn the VPN on, what the VPN does is it encrypts the data and hides your IP address, masking the location of where you are and giving you another IP address, right? So this keeps your information safe. Remember, we partnered with NordVPN. You're getting a massive discount over here. You're getting 67% off. You need to use the link in the description below if you do want to qualify for that specific savings, 30-day money back guaranteed. These are some of the benefits, right? In public, protect your Wi-Fi, avoid internet censorship, strengthen your privacy, limit your bandwidth throttling. There's got so many different benefits. Supercharge your crypto and gaming experience, right? Sign up to things that you actually want to sign up to, which you're being prohibited from doing based on the country that you're in. And to go a step further, guys, I take my security very seriously. Not only do I use VPNs, I have things like this, right? A YubiKey. We have no affiliation with YubiKeys, but this is a hardware device that can take your security to the next level. If you're serious about making money, if you're serious about protecting your capital, you need these types of things, right? I have multiple ledgers. Here's my other ledger. There you go. I have the ledger, the brand new ledger stacks as well. These are important things that you need. We are partnered with Ledger. If you use the link below as well for that, you'll get free Bitcoin, which I'll put onto your ledger for you. And I've always said to people, you don't need to necessarily get the Mondo top of the range ledger stacks for $500 US. You can go for something like this, right? Less than $100. Ledger Nano S Plus does the same job. Keep your information safe. Everything is in the link in the description below. If you go through to, here it is, NordVPN, okay, get your sign-up bonus, and then underneath that, you can go through to Ledger. That is Ledger, secure your crypto assets. So that's your security speech for today. Let's continue on. Let's have a look at the altcoin sector. The reason why is what do we have over here? Well, we still have Bitcoin dominance pushing into the apex over there, and we have an interesting weekly candle that's forming. Last week's candle low has been taken out, a little bit of a doji indecision candle coming into a key level high, and that could be the reversal point. I'm not calling it yet. It's too soon to tell. We cannot tell yet, but it's an important thing to be focusing on because this is a massive massive rising wedge formation. We reached near the apex, at least coming into a key horizontal resistance. If we do spike up one more time, we could go as high potentially as 63% on Bitcoin dominance. But the point is, we're closer to the end of this move than we are to the beginning, right? Where's the beginnings? The beginnings tend to happen all the way down here at the range lows, and the end of the move tends to happen over here at the range highs. It's pretty simple. There it is. There's your chart. You can look at it over here. You also have this downsloping trend line, which is coming into play. I can't really see Bitcoin dominance running up to 65%, but I guess that would truly be the worst case scenario. So high probability zone for rejection, probably going to be over here at about 60%, middle probability probably here at about 62%. Lowest probability play would be Bitcoin dominance running all the way to 65% and then coming down. So that's what we're having a look at over there. We're still watching over here for the ETH BTC chart, which you can see has put in a couple of green candles. I've said this as well to the community multiple times. I wouldn't front run this, right? I wouldn't start blindly bidding or at least selling my Bitcoin into ETH until this actually shows real signs of reversals. But it's just interesting that you have a falling wedge over here, a rising wedge over here. And then if you look at your ETH USD pair, well, we hit the major range low, you're putting in higher lows. And this is now officially your first higher high. So watch for this zone. If ETH USD does pull back, this is a potential buy zone. I put a question mark over here at about $2,500 for the next possible high low. And the reason I put a question mark is because we don't have a confirmed local top in yet. I've based this off the Fibonacci retracement levels, looking at the shallow fib once again and the 50% level. And of course, if price pushes up higher over here, we have to raise that fib level up. So keep an eye on that. But this would bode very, very well for the rest of the crypto market. If this starts to push towards the upside, you'll expect that the rest of the alts would do well. And we can ask ourselves, is it altcoin season yet? Where are we within the spectrum? Well, we're still very much in Bitcoin season for the most part, because for it to be alt season, you need the majority of these altcoins to actually be outperforming Bitcoin. But what we can gather from this is some valuable information, right? We can see what some of the top performers are, and we can see that more and more coins are starting to outperform Bitcoin, which shows you that it's slowly starting to trend towards the upside. Now, I spoke about this a couple of weeks ago, saying that you probably want to be looking to allocate into altcoins. This was over the course of July, August, and September. And the reason why is I said, I don't really want you to wait for this to be deep into altcoin season, at which point most of the altcoins have run aggressively. And now you're scrambling, trying to allocate into altcoins, looking for laggards, which typically never perform. The leaders continue to perform. And therefore, we establish those positions. So consequently, we've got great profits over here. Now, what are the top coins? Well, you can see BitTensor, Sui, Aave, XRP, ironically, is still in one of the top performers list. We have Tron, Aptos, Immutable X, Thorchain, Phantom, Stacks, Solana, and then a couple of other random ones over here. So you're seeing a little bit of a narrative. AI is starting to pop. The question is, will it continue? We'll need to monitor the mindshare to see if it continues to persist. But as it currently stands, they're one of the first out the gate. So we have to look at some of those altcoins. If Total does start to break up into the premium zone over here, that's going to be taking it up into about 662 billion. That will get you into the yellow box. We'll monitor the mind share of these various different assets, but I think it's one sector you want to have a little bit of exposure to. So especially while the funding is still very, very flat over here, which we spoke about, let's have a look at some of those coins. So I'm looking at least the AI sector that I have on my list. Is 𝗬. Would I be buying 𝗬 now? No. I mean, 𝗬's run a lot, guys. This is run really, really heavily. You're going to have to wait for a confirmed local top. But 100 and how long did this move take? So from here to here, this is done literally in 17 days, 161%. There will be profit taking that eventually occurs. And then you're looking for the pullback. So track it with your fib from the confirmed low over here to the local high. As this moves up, you have to track your fib, right? But you're looking to buy the dip into the 0.382 level. If it happened now, this would be about $444 for 𝗬. Now, if you look at FET over here, FET's coming into the top side of the parallel channel, starting to reverse the trend. You have a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders. You got your left shoulder, you got your head, you got your right shoulder. You've broken the neckline. You're starting to push out over here. Wait for the next high low. So it's not really the time to start aping into AI coins. Some of them are still in a decent zone. We spoke about it a lot over here on EOS. This was a key area where you wanted to get your positions established on that first high low that was occurring. That's at least what we did in Whale and I even think I mentioned it multiple times on the show. So watch as this comes into the upper boundary over here of the downsloping trend line or the parallel channel. This is going to be your major resistance. Let's look at Render over here. So Render looking very similar to EOS. Let's just quickly clear that up. Looking similar to EOS. This is going to be your breakout level. Resetting. Okay, there we go. This is going to be your breakout level over here coming in at 658. Theoretically, this one is still early in comparison to what we've seen with the likes of 𝗕𝗏. Very similar chart patterns, right? Very similar chart patterns, and it starts to run. Okay, Akash, also similar to Render, slightly lagging, still got lower highs, but putting in high lows. One to possibly look out for if there is some sort of a dip. I'm going to give my top picks in just a moment. Okay, Octa was one that looks relatively decent overall. Over time, this has mostly been uptrending, right? Macro high lows and high highs. Keep an eye out on this one. Okay, we got Aether. If you're a range trader, this is broken back into the range. If it comes back down and holds this 0.057 as support, that could be an area where you could start to establish some positions. GPU. Okay, also upsloping trend line over here, very young chart, but watch as price reacts into the low boundary over there. And then we got GRT. Okay, trying to break currently out of the top side of the range. Got a long-term upsloping trend line over here, which has held, but this is a very heavy downtrend. Oftentimes, these charts take a while to range, right? Following such a strong downtrend, it may take a while. You might get one or two scam wicks in, scary sell-off when there's heavy profit taking. So the top picks, at least that I'm looking at over here, already established in the position. Again, I can't recommend that you buy it now, but 𝗕𝗏 is one of them. We have FET is the next one that I'm looking at, and EOS. I pretty much put them in order for you. So levels to look out for. Again, we're already established in this EOS position. You're going to have to allow for this to run, create the first higher high, wait for the pullback. It's probably going to be another 2 weeks or so before you start to see this come down into the key levels. We can have a look at the rest of the coins. I see in the chat, we've got Prime, Sui. A lot of people want Prime over here, it seems. Mantra. Let's have a look at some of those just to see more or less where these coins are at. So Mantra, still looking relatively strong over here. As long as it remains above $1.02, Mantra's not looking too bad. The other one that you guys asked for was Prime. Let's have a look at Prime. Okay, I don't think the gaming sector has taken off yet, but let's take a look nevertheless. Okay, this one actually is moving now. Great. So this one's starting to get a bit of a run. This was the area that we wanted cleared, and you're officially above that. You closed yesterday's candle above there, and that pretty much would have been the trigger. And now today's candle looking pretty good, long and strong. So what I would say is if you're established in your positions, continue to hold. You're probably not looking to get long right now on the majority of the coins. You're going to have to wait for some sort of a meaningful pullback. For those of you that took the trades with us over the last couple of months to weeks, well, this is where you pay yourself, right? This is where you actually make the money. Remember, no one ever went broke taking a profit. At some point, you have to take profits. You can't succeed in investing and trading if you're not going to actually take profits. Let's have a look over here at the other one was real world assets, Rio. Let's quickly go to Rio because this is one of the trades that we're in. There it is. Okay, looking like a profit-taking zone, at least in my opinion. We can reload up on this. This has been a phenomenal trade. So let's just quickly measure out where our next support area is going to be. 1 second. Let's grab the fib tool. Okay, next support level coming in at just under $1, right? So wait for this to sweep below $1 and we'll look to buy the next high low. That's probably going to be the zone where you form the next high low. And then again, we're looking to play out the entirety of this move. So in terms of this trade, it was also dropped in Whale Room. We gave this live and we got, how big was this move? 133% price move. Very decent. I've started to shave profits along the way. We're already 50% of the way through this trade. Now, if you want to learn more about this, if you want to learn more about trading, remember the signups for Whale School are live right now. We have one day. We start tomorrow with the welcome event. These are workshops where we can interact with each other. I'll show you a video and an example of what that looks like in a moment. One day, 5 hours left to join. It's 100% free, guys. My gift to you. You don't have to spend a single cent. Use the link in the description below. I think we had 99% capacity, so you got to be quick. And here's an example of how course content looks. This is just kind of going through some quick answers with you guys, the viewers.
If you've only got a small budget, say $400, what would you do with that?
For me, the strategy would be I'd look for opportunities to find coins that are in perfect ranges. And if the market is generally in an uptrend, but you're on a low time frame range within that uptrend, I'll just look through the list and just keep looking for something's hitting the range low, deviates, gets back into the range long, but with calculated risk, 0.5% risk. And I'll just keep doing that. And if you can prove that you're succeeding on that over time, now you can start to take on more risk. Then suddenly $400 becomes 800, and 800 becomes 1,000, 600, and it's just doubling and doubling and doubling. But that's the key point. When it becomes a big account, you have to think like a small trader again and reduce the risk, because small traders become big traders, but big traders also become small traders because they blow big accounts. All right, so there it is, guys. As well, school. Remember that you need to have a strategy. If you are new to trading and you have a small account, pretty much what I said over here, you have to back test the data, at least the strategy that you're implementing when it comes to trading, and prove with very, very small amounts of money that you can successfully and repeatably make profits over time. And if you can do that, then you can start to scale that position up. You can start to, even pretty much use other people's money in the form of challenges. Remember, we have things like BitFunded. I don't have a link in, but we can try to put it in afterwards. You'll find it in the description below. Things like that will assist you in getting a larger account when maybe you're sitting with only $300-400 and you want to make hundreds of thousands. That is one opportunity that you can utilize. All right, let's quickly scan through. I just want to see some of the layer ones. Let's just see how NEAR is doing over here. So NEAR is still looking really strong. Broke out of the zone. This is where we started to establish the longs. You've created the higher high. You're breaking out from the W formation. I'd look at expansion on NEAR over the course of today, tomorrow, and the next day. So for the rest of the week, I think NEAR is probably going to continue to push up. Injective, okay, also breaking out of the downsloping channel, falling wedge formation coming into key support. We actually started to establish those longs all the way down here at the bottom, preemptively expecting that it's going to break through, looking really good over there. And then we have Solana, right? So an interesting question posed to me in the live Zoom sessions with the Whale Room community yesterday was, what do I think of Solana now that the Breakpoint conference is over? Because oftentimes it becomes a sell the news event. Do I think it's a sell the news event right now? Not necessarily. I don't think so. I said if it was rapidly trading through this level and coming into the next major resistance zone and it went up too quickly, then I would say yes. But given that it didn't, it kind of just slowly ground up over here, I would say that it's probably going to just continue, right? Let's see if it's going to be a market leader and lead the rest of the market like it did for the prior year, because there's a lot of very, very bullish things that came out from the Breakpoint conference, which now influencers are starting to clip and cycle, right? As retail start to pick up on this, that Solana is one of the top performers, they tend to jump into these things. So that's what we're having a look at over there. Guys, use the link in the description below. Let's cut it over there. I'll catch you all on tomorrow's stream. Hope you have a great day, and cheers for now.